Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for today's intuitive message. I am using the Fox Hara deck. I am probably saying that wrong because I do not speak Swedish, but it is a beautiful deck, and I can't wait to see what messages are going to come out for you. I am doing this reading with a specific energy in mind. However, if you have been drawn to this reading, please trust that it is for a reason and that there might be a message for you or for someone else close to you in it. Okay. Let's look at where we are. Judgment behind us, strength in front of us, and then the devil into the future. Okay, these are big hitting cards right away. A lot of light, a lot of the question of light and how the light energy is being used right now. But in the past, we are kind of emerging from an old situation that, this is really about putting part of yourself to rest. This is really about leaving an old self behind and kind of rising up lighter, but in a way rising up heavier, because it's lighter, you're leaving certain things behind, but it's heavier because there is more kind of responsibility on you, or there's kind of more riding on your choices and your energy right now. You're playing in a bigger game. It's like a bigger ballpark, a bigger stadium, and what you do has bigger implications right now. This is kind of permission to put the past to rest, to just let it go. And, for me, in my experience, when that concept has come up, it's like permission to say you don't have to think about this person anymore. You don't have to worry about the situation anymore. You don't have to kind of play it back through your mind and see if you could have done anything differently. It's about just letting it go. And maybe you revisit the analysis of it at a later situation, but right now you need to just let it go. Now we have kind of a funny card for the present time, the Strength card. It's really kind of a funny image, isn't it? It's like a big old angry dragon and then a very peaceful little mermaid being like, okay, calm down here. But there's a lovely story actually with this card, that the dragon was in pain, that actually the dragon was having too much fire. It's almost like indigestion or something. He's got too much fire and he was in pain, and because he was in pain, he was destroying the countryside. It's not that he wanted to destroy the countryside, it's just that he was in pain and that was making him do that. So the mermaid reaches up with this power to cool him off, essentially. So right now, you're finding yourself having to be compassionate and having to be understanding in a situation where it looks like someone may want to be destructive. It looks like someone may want to be in a negative place, or they're kind of wanting to hold on to something that isn't great for them. But this is about having the awareness that they're doing this because they're in pain. They're not doing this maliciously. They're not doing this against you with the intent to hurt you. They're doing this because they're in pain. And that's why this Judgment card is so important. Judgment card for some of us is going to talk about dropping any story or any belief that we have to take every single little thing personally. If you think that, it's kind of hard to get through your day because everything is going to be a personal slight, right? The light turns red too soon. The universe is against you. The checkout person forgets to put something in your bag. Why is this always happening to me? Why is everyone against me? It just is hard to deal with your day that way. And it goes for relationships too. Why did someone treat me this way? Well, actually, it doesn't really have that much to do with you. And that's kind of the energy that's going on here. What's going on with the other doesn't have anything to do with you. And where we need to be really careful, we've got the devil energy in the future. So this means that we have the potential to be led astray. We have the potential to be led back down the path of temptation to our old beliefs and our old habits. So let's say this is your thing, like it's definitely a thing I've had to work on, taking things personally. If taking things personally is one of those negative patterns you know that you need to let go of, but it's hard, if you only do it halfway, okay, the devil card is telling us that it's not going to be enough, that you're actually going to be pulled back into taking things personally pretty easily, but that this trial that's standing in front of you, this challenging situation with another person or with another party, is giving you a chance to practice not taking things personally. It's giving you a chance to practice not going into an old story about why this is happening. Okay, if low self-esteem is your thing, well, this happens to me because I deserve it. The Judgment card is asking you to leave that behind. The Strength card is presenting you with a situation that could be challenging you to think, oh well, I'm being walked all over because that's just what I deserve. This is the moment where you put up that little ball of energy to say, okay, that's not true. I left that behind already. Look at this. There's little balls of energy. And I know on this card, the balls of energy are like little temptations, like Will of the Wisp. But what it's saying is they're there, but you have to make sure to channel it properly. So what that means, let me put that into practical terms. When you find yourself in a pattern, trying to go back to an old place, trying to go back to a pattern that's not great for you, what can you do? Okay, the Fool and the Knight of the Earth. So you have to be a little bit more, and by a little I mean a lot, a little bit more vigilant about grabbing the sweetness, about shifting your perspective so that you see the situation as positive. Okay, I know that may sound Pollyanna-ish, but it is really powerful, our ability to shift into something more positive. The situation doesn't have to move, the situation doesn't have to change, but we have to shift into positive. Now, there's always two ways to view your situation. And I have been learning the last month that sometimes when really negative things happen, in the moment, it seems really awful. It seems like, why is this happening? Why do I have to go through this? Why aren't my guides making this easier for me? But when you get through it, when you get through the test, when your strength is tested and you get through, I've been seeing that actually it was for the better. I'll give you an example, and I'm probably going to tell this story the rest of my life. We have moved into an apartment, and it was supposed to be kind of a stepping stone on the way to something more permanent. And when you move into an apartment, you can't just break your lease without penalty, right? And I didn't really want to move into this apartment to begin with, but we were not able to line up the perfect situation. So we had to do this. Now, when we moved in, we had all sorts of mess. We had all sorts of problems. We had this black sludge in the sink. We had fire hazards in every room. And we just had all these things that shouldn't have been the way they were. We had a garbage can and some cigarette butts left on our balcony. Shouldn't have been there. And because we went through this, and it was hard to go through this experience, this is after traveling all day with two cats and on the airplane, and we were just tired. And so anyway, it seemed like, what the heck? Did we attract this negative situation? Why? And then if we didn't, why is this happening? Why? All these questions. But because we had this situation and we went to talk to the management, we were actually given an exception, and we can leave the lease without penalty as kind of a compensation for the experience we had. So, and that's what we wanted anyway, is to have a situation that we could leave without penalty. So, it's funny how this works, but had we gone down the wrong frame of mind, saying, "Ugh, well, this is just a negative situation. We will never get out. We just kind of deserve for these things to happen because, bad stuff always happens and it always has to happen to us." And there's a lot of negative places we could have gone. But instead, because we chose to look at it more positively and take action in a positive way, how can we rectify the situation? It has worked out for the better. And so, what I feel like these cards are saying is we have to be a lot more determined. We have to have a lot more tenacity. We have to have a lot more commitment to always looking for the sweetness, to always finding the honey, to always finding the little spoonful of sugar in whatever our situation is. Because, that saying, it's always darkest before the dawn. We don't really know when the dawn is coming. And if we start to condemn ourselves, if we start to condemn the dark, all that does is it turns us into this dragon in pain. It turns us into this devil who's not our real self. And it pulls us into a space where we're not ourselves. Okay, you're not a negative person. You're not the negative criticisms or complainings or heaviness that you might point out or talk about, but you're not that. But if you choose to see your situations that way, then you will become that. All right? And that will have a whole different host of consequences and karma that you will have to kind of fight your way out of. So the way beyond all of this is to stay on the sweeter side of things, to stay connected to what's good, what is good about your situation, and is there a little bit of light? And I think I mentioned earlier in this reading, there's a whole lot of light in these cards, just kind of dancing through this, and then you've got this light dancing through this coming over here. So that, I'm noticing something really cool in the way these cards hook up. You see how the ocean kind of flows from one card into the other. It's like it's set up perfectly. That's why that's what I was talking about, but I didn't. Now we're seeing the visual confirmation that the challenge you find yourself in is to help you make sure that you're really over the past. Make sure that you've flown over that. So I'm going to continue this reading, and I'm going to pull some extra cards to give you a bigger context of what's going on. If you'd like to follow me over there, the link is in the description below. And I'd also like to mention at this time, not a lot of people that do YouTube readings are still offering one-on-one readings, but that is something that I very much love to do and very much love to help you clarify your next steps and see where you'd like to go next on your spiritual journey. So if it's time for that, please look at my website and see if anything looks exciting to you. So I will look forward to seeing you soon. Again, if you're joining me for the extended, the link is in the description below, and I'll see you soon.